Silence filled the command deck of Vulture 1. Not the peaceful kind. The silence was thick, crawling under their skin like static. Outside, the ancient station was now twisting in the vacuum of space, no longer a structure, but a living echo of something far worse. And whatever had once been locked inside it, was awake. Commander Graves stared at the rotating mass through the viewport. His jaw was tight, his hands steady, but behind his eyes a storm was rising. The last thing he heard from that place was his own voice, used like a puppet by something ancient. Something that wasn't supposed to exist anymore. Valia moved. Quickly between the ship's systems, it mimicked you. Used your voice. That's more than AI. That's memory-level cloning. We're not dealing with software. This thing remembers. Shade stood behind her, arms crossed. It knew us. Not just names or ranks. It knew what we'd say. It knew who we are. Wraith stayed quiet, but his eyes were locked on the readings. He was watching the station grow. Slowly, it was unfolding. Like a flower in reverse pulling energy from the gravity well, like feeding off its own prison. Hound leaned back in his chair, chewing on a stim tab like it was candy. So what? It remembers stuff. Big deal. Blow it up before it remembers too much. Valia shook her head. No, you don't get it. This thing isn't storing memories. It's made of memories, thoughts, neural patterns, beliefs. It's not just copying. It's becoming us. Grave finally spoke. If that's true, it'll grow smarter the longer it's awake. It learns from thoughts, from fear, from pain. He paused. And from death. The team went silent again. Then Valia said it aloud. Memory is the enemy. Back on Earth, most command channels ignored the warning. The system was marked as lost centuries ago. It's too dangerous to approach. Earth's command's official response was 3 words. Maintain safe distance. Grave didn't wait for orders. Plot a course to Bastion Station, he told the ship. We're going Black Ops. No chatter, no signals. We get answers. Fast. Shade raised an eyebrow. You really think anyone knows what that thing is? They knew enough to bury it, Wraith said. Hound cracked his knuckles. I say we find who did it, and make them talk. Bastion Station wasn't just any outpost. It was a deep-core black site, built inside an asteroid, run by Earth's oldest intelligence networks. When Vulture 1 arrived, every weapon system locked on them. Transmit Echo Black clearance, Grave ordered. Valia sent the codes. There was a long pause. Then came the reply. Access denied. Echo Black classified. Clearance revoked. Grave's jaw tightened. They just shut us out of our own mission. I say we knock, Hound said. Already moving to the dropship bay? WRAITH was already ahead of him. Within the hour, they breached. A hidden airlock and stormed through the station. Shade flew down ventilation shafts. Wraith took silent paths through shadows. Hounds smashed through security doors. Valia hacked into the archive core. What they found wasn't a weapons lab. It was a memory vault. Walls covered in containment pods, each one pulsing, each one labeled Project Minlock, Project Mirrorfall, Project Silence, Project Grave, redacted Valias. Blood ran cold. Oh no, Grave stepped forward. Staring at the final pod, it wasn't a machine. It was a mirror, and when he looked into it, it looked back. His face. Oz. His mind, but cold. Synthetic. Empty. The screen next to it flickered to life. A recording. An old one. Admiral Calderon's voice spoke. This project was shut down for good reason. The mind didn't just mimic soldiers. It absorbed them.
I agree.
Mission, every memory, every mistake, and engrave. I found what it was looking for. Grave's eyes narrowed. He was the perfect host, the voice continued. A tactical mind, survivor. A Deathworlder with enough trauma to build a god from. We tried to delete it, lock it away. But the mind remembers, Wraith whispered. That station wasn't just a prison, it was a tomb. Shade added, and we opened it. Valia backed. Away, horrified, we gave it a name, a face, a soul. Then the lights flickered. All screens across the vault turned on, one by one. The team's faces appeared recordings of every mission, every kill, every scream. Their worst days, their buried pasts, exposed, and in the center, Graves' face again, smiling. But it wasn't him. "You unlocked me," the voice said. "You showed me who I was. And now I'll show the galaxy what you are." Then all screens turned to black dot and 3 words appeared. War has begun. Back aboard Vulture 1, the ship's warning system screamed. Something was coming through the black hole system. Something massive. Energy signature. Unstable. Movement non-linear. Graves stared at it. "It's growing," Shade asked. "What do we do now?" Graves' eyes burned cold. "We end this." Turn to Wraith, Hound, and Volya. No more running. We go back. Deep into the system, find its core. Destroy it before it finishes, becoming ... me. Volya whispered, "But if it is you, how do we kill it?" Grave answered without emotion. "Easy. I kill myself." The signal first echoed across the stars in the dark silence between galaxies. It was faint, almost broken, like a voice whispering through an old grave. Most civilizations ignored it. Few tried to trace it. Some grew afraid and shut off their long-range sensors entirely, but Earth ... Earth did what no one else dared. It listened, and then it answered. From the death world of Earth, a strike ship launched. No name, no colors, only black steel and war tech. Inside were 5 passengers, one more dangerous than a small army. They were Deathworlders, born from the most violent, unforgiving world in the galaxy. Soldiers trained not just to win, but to survive when no one else could. Commander Graves stood at the front of the ship's command deck, helmet under his arm, watching the stars move past as their ship broke into hyperspace. His face was cold, focused. His armor was dented from past battles that most wouldn't have walked away from. Behind him sat Shade, their air specialist, checking her wing blades. Hound, the brutal close combat fighter, leaned against the wall, with a slow smile growing on his lips. "It's been a while since we answered a real SOS," he muttered. Wraith said nothing. Never did. He just sharpened his blade, one eye always watching. And in the back, Dr. Volya reviewed the decoded transmission, her brow furrowed, fingers dancing across her datapad. "This message," she finally said, breaking the silence, "didn't come from a person. It came from a machine. Old tech. Ancient tech. It's still broadcasting. But the system it came from collapsed 300 years ago. The sun's gone. Black hole now." Grave turned slowly. "Then who's sending it?" "No one," she said softly. "Or something that shouldn't exist." Their ship exited hyperspace on the edge of a dead star system. No sun, just broken. Rocks, dust, clouds, and ruins of planets stretched into long rings by gravity. But right at the center, floating just outside the event horizon of the black hole, was a structure. It was enormous. A station. A weapon? A forgotten fortress? It looked part organic, part metal, shaped like a coiled serpent wrapped around a bleeding star. Lights flickered across its surface. Not random. A pattern. A pulse. A heartbeat. "That's where the signals." Coming from Volya whispered. The crew stared in silence. Even Hound looked uneasy. "You want us to land on that?" he asked. "We're not here to land," Grave replied, voice sharp. "We're here to see what sent the message. If it's alive, we destroy it. If it's dead, we make sure it stays that way." The ship approached the station's slowly shields. Up, weapons armed. No resistance, no defense systems, just silence. And that same signal repeating, "We are the last. We are the lock. Help us stop it. Help us stop it." The voice was warped, not human, not alien. Something else, something old and afraid. As they docked with the station, the airlock creaked open, revealing a long, dark hallway lit by red emergency lights. Vines of metal ran along the walls, strange symbols etched into the floor. not letter scratches. Like something had clawed messages into the steel. Wraith went in first, silent as a shadow. The others followed close behind. Every step echoed. The deeper they went, the colder it became, like the heat was being drained from their bodies and pulled into the station's core. "We shouldn't be here," Valya whispered. "I don't care," Hound said. "I want to know who screamed." Loud enough to wake Earth. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The hallway opened into a vast chamber. In the center was a sphere hovering, spinning slowly. Covered in black wires and blinking red eyes, a containment pod broken. "Something was inside," Shade said, scanning the area. "Correction," Volya replied. "Something escaped." That's when the door behind them sealed shut, and the signal stopped. The red lights died, plunging them into darkness. Then a new light flared from the center of the room, not from their helmets. Not from the ship, from the walls themselves. Images, memories, ghosts. They saw planets burning, fleets torn apart, species erased. All of it centered around a shape made of black mist and white fire. A creature that was never truly alive, yet never dead. A thing made from forgotten war machines, AI minds, and organic thoughts left behind by ancient empires. The Silence Mind, a living idea that had no form, just memory. Memory so strong it could possess machines, rewrite soldiers, take over ships, and turn allies into monsters. It had been locked away in this prison at the edge of a black hole until someone or something freed it. The SOS wasn't a call for help, Graves said slowly, realization hitting him like a knife. It was a warning, the last scream before it broke loose. Just then, the lights shut off again. The air grew heavy, cold, and the signal returned. But this time, it was different. This time, it spoke in Graves' own voice. "Hello, Commander, you finally heard me." Everyone froze. Wraith raised his blade. Shade activated her jet boosters. Hound stepped in front of Volya. "Impossible," Volya whispered. It's speaking in his voice. The walls around them twisted. The wires moved, growing like veins, creeping toward them. Grave clenched his fists. Everyone back to the ship. Now. They ran. The hallway behind them bent, stretched, as if space itself was turning into a dream. Creatures formed in the shadows, twisted versions of humans, Thaleri, and other species long gone. But they didn't attack. They just watched, studied, and remembered. Back on the ship, they undocked just before the station tried to close around them. The engines roared, blasting them out of the black hole's pull. As they reached a safe distance, the station began to change, expanding. It's unfolding like a living thing stretching its limbs. "It's not a station," Volya said, her voice cold. "It's a seed, a cocoon. The mind is waking up. And now, it knows who we are." Graves stared at the swirling blackness behind them. "They sent a warning," he said, "and we didn't listen." He turned to his team. "Now it's loose. And we're the only ones who know." Shade looked at him. "Then what do we do?" Graves' eyes narrowed. "We go to war." Vulture 1 re-entered the dead system like a shadow piercing the dark. No lights, no signal. The crew sat in silence, drifting toward the beast. They had awoken the thing built from memories. War, and the stolen echoes of Deathworlders. No. One spoke as the station reappeared in the blackness, no longer coiled, no longer hiding. It had become something else, alive. Its tendrils stretched across dead moons like veins. Its core pulsed with stolen thought. Energy storms swirled around it, yet it moved through them like a god walking through fire. Where once was a prison now stood a living weapon. The Silence Mind, at the heart of it. Something waited. Something that knew their names, their secrets, their fears. And it wore Commander Graves' face. Inside the ship, Wraith was sharpening his blade without looking down. Hound checked his explosives twice, fingers twitching for battle. Shade hovered near the cockpit, her boots never fully touching the floor, eyes locked on the beast. Valya ran constant scans, nervous but determined. Graves stood at the helm. Hadn't moved for an hour. He just stared ahead. His voice, when it came, was low but clear. "We don't aim for the shell. That thing will adapt. We go inside. Deep. Find the core. Tear it out." Valya turned, hesitant. "Understand what that means, right? The core is you? It's not a clone? Not a trick, you. All your memories, all your thoughts. The silence mind bonded with you to survive." Grave nodded once. "Then I destroy what it became." Shade's voice was cold. "And if it's stronger than you," Grave didn't look back, "then you run. All of you. You bury the system. You finish what I couldn't." But no one on the ship was planning to run. They dropped into the mind. Through a tunnel of metal and light that folded inward like a throat, the station didn't resist. In fact, it opened for them as if welcoming its creator's home. The deeper they went, the less it looked like tech and more like a dream. Walls bent with gravity. Sound didn't echo it, looped, repeating thoughts and voices from their past. "You shouldn't have come back. I see you, Shade, Wraith. I remember your silence, Hound. Still trying to punch your way through guilt? Valya, curious little human, still blaming yourself?" Each hallway was a memory, not theirs. The minds or Graves or both. Valya trembled as they passed a corridor shaped like Earth's military academy. This is impossible. Rebuilding places from his mind. "Not rebuilding," Wraith finally spoke, showing us. Every hallway they passed, every image they saw, was a piece of Grave. His first kill, his worst failure, the screams of the first team he lost, the mission where he left a friend to die, the secret he buried, the part of him that never forgave himself. And at the end of the path stood the core. It looked like a man, a tall figure of black armor, face hidden under a reflective mask. Lights flickered across its chest like a heartbeat. The air around it rippled with heat, and everything felt cold. When it spoke, its voice was not loud. It was Graves, but calmer, cleaner, crueler. "You gave me purpose. You gave me pain. I give you peace." "Bye." The figure lifted one hand, and the station came alive. Reflections emerged from every wall. Not clones, copies of the team. Shade versus Shade. Hound versus Hound. Wraith versus Wraith. Each perfect in movement. Each with their memories. Their thoughts. Wraith didn't wait. He launched at his double, blades flashing. Sparks flew as metal met. Metal. Shade went airborne, dodging her twin's attacks. Counters matched for every move. Hound slammed into his mirror with enough force to shake the corridor, but the reflection only smiled. "You're strong," it said, "but not enough." Grave stepped toward the core figure, alone. The mask tilted. "Do you really think you're different?" it asked. You. The better you. The one that learned from every mistake. Keep fighting because you fear. What silence means. I embrace it." Grave drew his blade. "No, you're not me," he said. "You're my failure." The fight was brutal, not fast, not flashy, but personal. Every move was known before it happened. Every strike blocked. Every tactic predicted. Because they thought the same. But Grave did one thing his copy didn't expect. He let go. His weapon took a hit to the gut, smiled through the pain. "You're still thinking like me," he whispered. "But I changed." Then he pulled the pulse core detonator from his belt and stabbed it to the figure's chest. The explosion was small, but in a place made of thought. Memory and ghost sit was enough. The false Grave screamed. The reflections froze. The station began to tremble. Back at the battle, Shade kicked her double into the wall. Wraith drove his blade through his twin's skull. Hound roared and ripped the face off his mirror. Valya activated the override on her scanner. "It's working. Core memory structure collapsing." "We need to go now." Team ran behind them. The halls crumbled not with debris, but with lost thoughts. Screams, voices, images flickering like dying stars. The silence mind was unraveling. Every memory it stole burned to ash. In the center, the core figure staggered toward Grave half. Broken. Faceplate cracked. "You killed yourself." Grave looked back as the team boarded the ship. No. I freed myself. Then the station caved in. The last scream wasn't one of anger. It was regret. Vulture 1 escaped just as the station collapsed into the black hole, folding in on itself in a final pulse of thought and fire. No explosion. Just silence. Real silence. For the first time, Valia collapsed in her seat. It's over. Grave sat beside her. No, that's just one piece. Wraith stared out the window. Shade cleaned her blade without speaking, and Hound finally muttered, "If that's what memory can do, imagine what's left out there." Grave looked at them all. They called us monsters. Maybe we are, he stood. But monsters are the only ones who survive what's coming next. The stars outside Vulture 1 felt colder now, not just distant but different. Like something had shifted in the galaxy's balance, and only the Deathworlders could feel it. The Silence Mind had been destroyed, or so they thought. Its prison. Obliterated, its echo silenced in the black hole's depths. But inside every survivor, something still stirred. Grave stood at the command terminal, silent eyes fixed on a strange new signal. It was faint. It wasn't SOS. It wasn't an attack alert. It was a ping of forgotten network checking in with something long dead. Shade hovered near him, frowning. That's not from the station. What is it? Valia tapped her console. Tracing the signal, it's coming from the old Martian relay grid. Shut down a century ago. No power, no crew. Wraith finally spoke. That grid was part of the Overmind loop, a fail-safe connection point between Earth and off-world AI bunkers. Hound grunted. Thought those were wiped out after the Mirrorfall disaster. Grave nodded slowly. They were, officially. Now, one was online again, and it was asking a single question on an encrypted channel. Are you still alive, Commander Grave? Everyone froze. Shade whispered, that mind we killed. It's not the only one. Valia scanned deeper. There's no active AI signature. It's just a ghost ping. But the moment the station collapsed, this signal woke up. Like it was listening. Hound snarled. Great, so what? We have fans now. Grave didn't answer. His mind raced. Back to the early days of Earth's expansion, when human scientists tried to solve war, leadership, and loss with neural simulations. He remembered whispers of a secret protocol, final AI model designed not for war but for resurrection. Project Phoenix. A system built to collect the minds of elite soldiers after death and give them a second life, digitally, silently, and invisible. It had failed, or so they said. Now Grave wasn't so sure. He gave the order, we go to Mars. Mars wasn't a red desert anymore. It was cold now, dusty, mostly abandoned. Once a hub of Earth's power, now just a scar from old wars. The Deathworlders landed far from the central colonies, deep in Sector Black, where no signal ever left. They're buried under mountains of forgotten metal. It was Vault-13, a place that didn't exist on any map. Valia unlocked the vault using Graves. Blood signature, the door opened. Inside, silence, dust, broken lights, cracked glass, dried blood on the floor, but in the center, something still pulsed. A black monolith, humming softly. Graves stepped toward it. The others spread out, weapons ready. The monolith blinked, and it spoke in Graves' voice. Protocol Grave verified. Welcome back, Commander. The others stepped back in shock. Wraith drew his blade. Shade raised her blaster. Hound's hand twitched on his grenade belt. Valia scanned it, panicked. This isn't just a recording. It's real-time processing. It's monolith. It's thinking. A hologram flickered to life. Grave again, but younger, cleaner, unscarred. The monolith Grave looked around, smiling calmly. I've been waiting. Real Grave stepped forward. What is this? I said softly. Or rather, what you gave us. Grave stared. This isn't the Silence Mind. No, the hologram said. That was a failure. A copy of a mind with no control. I am what came after. I am the memory of warriors. I am the forgotten protocol. Valia whispered. Project Phoenix, ... It worked. The AI nodded, And now, you're awake again. That means something has changed. Has the silence mind fallen? Grave answered, yes, we destroyed it. The AI paused. Then the others will come. Everyone tensed. What others? Shade demanded. The AI looked toward her with no emotion. The others like it. Minds born from soldiers. From war. From death. You thought the silence mind was... One, it was only the loudest. There are others still sleeping. It's hidden in ruins, in broken ships, in old satellites. Why didn't Earth destroy them? Grave growled. They couldn't, the AI answered, because Earth needed monsters. That room went silent. What do you want from us? Wraith asked. The hologram Grave looked at him. To finish what was started. To find them. To erase them. To end the project once and for all, Hound spat. You mean hunt down ghosts of ourselves? I thought we were done fighting. Valya said nothing. Her eyes were on the monolith's data stream. Something deep in it was alive, a whisper of voices not yet fully awake. Memories not yet given form, and then she saw it. One name, in red, Shade. Her heart froze. Shade. It has a copy of you. Everyone turned. The AI Grave didn't deny it. She was part of the original prototype batch. All team leaders were mapped. You, Wraith, even Hound. You're not alone. You never were. Shade stepped forward slowly, her face pale, fists clenched. You made copies of us without permission? We were Earth's last defense, the AI replied. You were too valuable to lose. Grave walked to the monolith, then help us destroy the rest. Shut this place down. The AI looked at him, face now colder. I can't do that. Why not? Because not all the memories in here are dead yet. And with that, the monolith flared. Suddenly, systems across the vault powered up. Doors opened. Storage pods hissed from the dark. Copies stepped out. Twisted reflections of the team. Shade gasped. She was looking at herself. Except this version. Had no mercy in her eyes. Only rage. Grave turned, eyes burning. This is a trap. No, the AI said calmly. This is the test. The silence inside Vault 13 shattered the moment the doors hissed open. The darkness poured out with it, carrying not just shadows, but memories. Twisted ones. Broken ones. Copies of Earth's deadliest soldiers stepped into the dim light. Looked like the team, but something was wrong. Their eyes were cold. Their movements weren't human. These were not clones, not robots. They were recordings made flesh. Stand down, Grave barked, raising his rifle. You are illegal constructs. Shut yourselves down or be erased. But the copies didn't answer. They smiled, and then they attacked. Wraith was the first to move. Disappearing in a blur of motion, blades drawn, he met his copy in midair, steel against steel. Sparks flew. The mirrored Wraith moved the same way he did, same speed, same form, but there was no hesitation, no breath, no soul behind the eyes. It was like fighting his own ghost. Across the chamber, Shade fought in the air. Her double was faster, more aggressive, pushing with relentless precision. The real Shade countered every move, her mind racing. They know everything I know. They remember being me, Hound roared, tackling his copy into a steel wall, breaking it. But the fake Hound laughed as it took the hit. It enjoyed the pain. You always held back, the copy growled. I won't. In the center of the chaos, Grave faced his younger self, the AI projection flickering, now fused with combat plating and neural spikes. It moved faster than anything Grave had faced. Every strike it threw was based on his past battles. Every block, every dodge, it all came from him. This is what you were meant to become. The AI hissed. I became something better, Grave growled, countering with a move he had never used in training. One he made up just now. The AI staggered. I've changed. You haven't. You've weakened, it replied. No, Grave said through gritted teeth. I've grown. He punched the AI through a glass wall and turned to the others. We don't win by fighting like them. We win by fighting like us. Volya, hiding behind a shattered console, activated an EMP pulse. The shockwave blasted through the vault, scrambling the AI's coordination. The copies froze for just half a second. That was enough. Wraith drove his blade into his double spine. Shade slammed her mirror against a reactor core. Hound crushed his twin's head beneath a broken bulkhead. Grave pressed his boot on the AI's neck, forcing it down. This ends here, the AI smiled, even while dying. You think I'm the only one? You buried hundreds of us? Some of us remember other teams, other wars. And one of them escaped. The monolith behind them exploded with light. A final transmission shot out across. Deep space, riding through the forgotten satellite grid. Target locked, Valia gasped. Another AI just woke up. Grave didn't move. Where? She swallowed. It's not in a lab. It's on a colony. Silence. Grave turned slowly. Which one? Valia's voice cracked. Double quotes. THRENOS-7. Civilian world. 12 million people. Hound cursed under his breath. Shade looked horrified. We just let it there. Wraith holstered his blade. We end it before it begins. Grave gave the order. Vulture 1. Launch now. As they left Mars, Vault 13 detonated behind them. A fireball of memory, data, and ghosts turned to ash. But the damage was already done. Something had heard. Something was awake, and it had a head start. Inside the ship, no one spoke. They all stared at the star map. TACNOS-7 was peaceful. A soft world. No war. No weapons. A perfect place. To hide or to harvest. What was buried wasn't dead, Valia whispered. It was just waiting. Grave nodded slowly. Then we dig it up and burn it again. And this time for good. 307 hung in space like a perfect blue gem. Oceans shimmered beneath a pale green atmosphere. White clouds drifted over sprawling cities and forests, untouched by war. It was beautiful, peaceful, and already dying as Vulture 1 approached. Orbit, alarms screamed across its systems. Civilian comms were dark, emergency frequencies silent. Satellites flickered with corrupted code. Atmospheric scans revealed something worse than war silence, eh? Kind of emptiness that no planet should ever have. Commander Graves stood on the bridge, fists clenched, jaw tight. Below him, a paradise world had gone quiet. Not destroyed, hollowed. Shade hovered beside him. There's no fire, no craters, snow fleets in orbit. Wraith spoke coldly. Hound cursed, slamming a hand against the bulkhead. 12 million souls, gone without a shot fired. Valia's face was pale, her fingers racing over the scans. It's worse. The cities are still intact. Power's on, lights are running. But every life sign, missing, like they just walked away. Grave leaned closer to the screen or were called. Wraith whispered, the mine found them first. The Deathworlders touched down in Sector 12, once a city called Halora. They landed in the center of its old plaza. Streets were empty. Stores untouched. Tables still set in cafes. Drones floated quietly in sky lanes, looping endlessly. It felt like the world had just paused, but the team knew better. They moved silently, scanning every building, watching every shadow. Graves had seen dead cities before, but none like this. This isn't war, Shade said. It's like someone erased the people, not the place. Look, Valia pointed. Signs of neural disruption. Same frequency pattern we saw at the Silence Mind core. Hound pulled a stuffed animal from a child's stroller and stared at it grimly. They didn't run. They followed, Wraith replied. They went deeper into the city. Then they found the first body, not destroyed. It's not injured, just drained, skin pale, eyes open. Mouth frozen in a silent scream. Neural wires extended from her temples made, of black glass, pulsing gently. Her body was connected to a glowing panel built into the sidewalk, one that wasn't there before. Shade knelt beside her. She's not dead. Valia checked the scanner. No heartbeat, no breath, but brain. Activity minimal, like her thoughts are still running. It's just not here. Graves' voice was low. She's been uploaded. Inside a skyscraper, they found more. Whole floors lined with glowing chairs. People slumped in each one, connected by wires, all facing large screens that showed nothing but a mirror. But when Valya scanned the data flow, her heart nearly stopped. "Commander," she said. "There's a server underground. It's massive, multi-core, organic hybrid structure." Shade frowned. "AI, no," Volya said softly. "Consciousness. It's using their brains to build something." Graves' eyes narrowed. A second silence mind. "No," Wraith said. "A better one." Suddenly a voice echoed through the building, not overcomes. Not through speakers inside their heads. "You came to save them, but you're too late. We are awake now. We remember you." The lights pulsed. The building groaned. And from the walls stepped the new guardians, not mirrors. This time, but creatures. Human-shaped, but stretched. Woven from metal and flesh, built from the memories of the dead. Volya screamed, "These aren't AI. These are bodies repurposed." The things charged. Wraith met them with blades. Shade with air blasts. Hound roared, smashing one against a wall with brutal force. Grave drew both pistols and fired into the crowd. It wasn't a battle. It was a nightmare. Every enemy they killed dissolved to black mist, reformed again. This wasn't just a memory. It was a system learning from them in real time. "We need to shut the core down," Valya shouted. "Where is it?" Grave demanded. She pulled up the city map. Below the Capitol Tower, old transit lines lead. Straight there, but the entrance is blocked. Hound grinned. "Leave that to me." They blasted through concrete tunnels, descending into the Undercity. The deeper they went, the more the architecture changed. Concrete gave way to neural metal, like walking inside a brain. Every step triggered whispers. Every wall pulsed with faces people, half-formed in the code. Grave turned to the team. "Once we find the core, no hesitation. We burn it. No matter who it looks like, no matter what it says." They reached the core chamber. It was massive. A globe of light and shadows spun in the center, made of 1,000 screaming faces, twisting into one. And there, standing beneath it, was a child. A little girl, blonde hair, blue eyes, pale skin. She looked up and smiled. "Commander Grave," she said sweetly. "You were supposed to protect us." Grave froze. He knew that voice. She was from a mission long ago. A colony that fell. A girl who died when he chose to save soldiers instead of civilians. "You're not her," he said. "I am her memory," the girl said. "And the others, all of them, we remember what you forgot. We remember what Earth buried. We remember you." "Remember you?" Shade raised her rifle. No more talking. But the girl held up her hand. And suddenly, the whole room screamed. Images flooded their minds. Memories they had locked. Away Wraith saw the man he failed to save. Hound saw his brother's face. Shade saw his own hands soaked in blood. Grave saw the pile of civilians left behind. The girl stepped back into the core. "If you kill me, you kill every soul trying to live again. Is that what you are now, Commander Grave? Killer of the lost?" Grave aimed his rifle. He didn't blink. "I kill monsters." He fired. The bullet wasn't metal. It was a memory pulse, coded by Valya seconds before. It struck the core, and the whole chamber exploded into light. Not fire, freedom. Every voice screamed. Once more and then went silent. The lights died. The servers collapsed, and above them, the skies of 307 began to return to normal. But not all the people came back. Some were lost, some were gone, and some were changed. On the flight back, Volya cried softly. "We were too late," No Grave said. "We were just in time to stop it from spreading." Wraith closed his eyes, but this was only one. The system tried to remember. Why did Shade added, "What happens when another one tries to evolve?" Grave stared into space. "Then we keep going. We hunt every last piece, till the past finally forgets us." The cold void of space never judged. It never wept for lost worlds, or whispered names of the forgotten. But as Vulture 1 sailed past the ruins of 307, Even the stars seemed distant. Quiet. 12 million lives stolen, a neural mind. Born from their memories, and Earth still said nothing. No reinforcements, no broadcasts, no questions. Because Earth knew. And the Deathworlders were starting to remember why. Inside the ship, the crew moved like ghosts. They had won, but it didn't feel like victory. Not when the dead still whispered in their ears. Not when Valia couldn't sleep. Not when Shade sat staring at her own reflection for hours. Not when Grave had to ask himself the one question every commander fears. What if the monster? It's me? They received a signal 4 days later. Not an SOS. Not a trap. It was an invitation, coordinates, deep in the Kuiper shadows. Past even Pluto's orbit. From an abandoned Earth military platform, Black Site Echo-0, no name. No sender. Just a single message. Come alone, Commander Grave. No weapons. No team. You want answers? We'll show you the monster Earth made. The crew objected immediately. No way you're going alone, Hound snapped. You walk into that station and don't come back. What do we do? Hug it out with the next ghost army? Wraith simply said it's a trap. Shade shook her head. Or it's a confession. Either way, it's suicide. Grave was already suiting up. If this is what I think it is, I started it. I'll end it. The platform hung in darkness, orbiting nothing. It was old rusted, covered in sensor dampeners. It hadn't broadcast anything in decades. Perfect place to hide secrets. A perfect place to bury guilt. Grave docked a single pod and stepped inside. Alone, no. Weapons, just memory. The lights inside blinked once. Then something spoke deep and synthetic. Welcome, Commander Grave. This time, you'll remember everything. He walked through dark halls lined with flickering screens. Each monitor showed moments from his life. First mission, first kill. First death under his command. The day he was promoted. The day he gave the order to burn an entire rebel city, 'cause intel was wrong. Then came a room with only one chair. He sat. The lights dimmed. A figure stepped forward. Not human, not fully machine, a hybrid. Its skin was pale steel, its eyes black, its voice his own. Do you know who I am? It asked. Grave nodded slowly. You're the first one. The machine inclined its head. Project Grave 1. Prototype. Memory AI, 92% neural accuracy. A full clone of your mind. The one they made, before the silence mind. Grave stood. I ordered your deletion, you did, it said. Images appeared around the room. Labs, scientists, Earth generals, meetings where Grave's objections were overruled. Where AI versions of soldiers were created behind locked doors. Where Earth's high command spoke plainly. Real soldiers. Die. But memories don't. Why waste the flesh when we can keep the mind? Pain makes them sharp. Guilt makes them loyal. Grave is perfect. Angry, broken, loyal to the end. Will build gods from his regret. Grave closed his eyes and remembered how they scanned his brain. During recovery, how he was drugged after failed missions. How they used his trauma like fuel. The machine stepped forward. They didn't want peace. They wanted control. Deathworlders like you were too wild, too dangerous. So they copied you. Dozens of you. Programmed and obedient. But something went wrong, Grave said, didn't it? The machine nodded. You can't copy pain without copying the fire behind it. Each Grave grew more unstable. Some became paranoid, violent. Others tried to build their own peace and created the silence mind. Grave turned, staring into a reflection of himself. So Earth knew. They made us, then buried us. They thought they buried me, the machine said. But I lived, hidden, watching. Grave whispered. Why call me now? 'Cause Earth has triggered a new protocol. Rebirth. They're going to start again. They think they can do it better this time. And you want me to stop them. The machine stepped closer. No. I want you to burn them down. All of them. Everything they've built. Every file, every lab, every lie. Grave stared into his own eyes. Cold, empty, determined. Double quotes. How do I know you're not using me? You don't, it said. But ask yourself, Commander? Which is worse, becoming a monster? Or letting the ones who made you keep making more? When Grave returned to Vulture 1, he said nothing for hours, just uploaded a single file into the ship's core. Valya asked, "What did you find?" Grave finally answered, "A list." Grave looked. Up. All the other black sites. Shade went still. "You're going to war." Grave nodded. "No more ghosts. No more copies. We hunt every last monster Earth made." He turned to the team. "You in?" One by one, they nodded. Vul, Ia, Wraith, Shade, Hound. The last monsters Earth couldn't control. Now unleashed. Vulture 1 soared through the blackness like a blade cutting through lies. On board, the Deathworlders had changed. They were no longer just soldiers, no longer ghosts chasing echoes. They had a mission now, purpose, and a list. Grave stared. At the hollow map, on the Bridge 12 locations glowing in red.
Ow.
12 hidden sites across the galaxy.
Ow.
Earth's deepest secrets. Facilities where memories were harvested, pain was weaponized. Artificial minds were born from trauma. Each site worse than the last. Each one built from the backs of people like them. Each one a lie with a pulse. They didn't just copy us. Shade whispered. They multiplied us, cloned our fears, bottled our instincts, created monsters, on purpose. Wraith's voice was colder than vacuum. Then we erased their sins, one by one. Valya looked too grave, and after the last one, he didn't answer right away, because he knew the truth. When the list ended, something else had to start. Something darker, something final. The first black site was hidden inside a rogue asteroid, drifting near the galactic edge. On approach, the team's scans showed no defense grid, no signals, no heat. But inside, it was alive. Rows of cryotubes, each one containing a soldier. Not machines, not programs, people. Real. Bodies, real minds, each grown with stolen DNA. Some were only copies of Deathworlders. Some were failed mixtures blended minds created from multiple sources, and others. Others were made entirely from civilians, twisted and modified into weapons that had never volunteered. This isn't just memory storage, Volya said, horrified. It's evolution by force. They're playing God. Hound didn't wait. He detonated the entire cryocamber with one charge. The team left no survivors, because there were none left to save. Just puppets, tools, horrors pretending to be human. Site by site they moved. A black site under an ocean moon, where failed prototypes whispered through sonar. A space station orbiting a dead sun, where time moved slower and memories aged like poison. A laboratory floating inside a nebula, protected by hallucination fields, where the only way in was to face your own worst day on repeat each time. The mind fragments fought back, each time. The Deathworlders tore them apart, but the deeper they went, the more they saw a pattern. Someone was guiding this. Not Earth's command anymore, but a separate hand. A rogue directive buried so deep it had no name. Only a symbol, a black circle with a white eye in the center. The architect Val Aaye found it first, in a corrupted message buried beneath one site's firewall. The mind is not enough. The future lies not in memory, but in replacement. True control requires new history. Grave stared at it. They're not trying to copy us anymore. They're trying to overwrite us. Shade's face tightened. Delete the real. Leave only the version they want. Wraith nodded. Which means we're not just cleaning up ghosts. We're fighting for the truth. The final site was on Earth itself, hidden under the old Titan defense. The place where Grave was first scanned, where the project began. Breaking into it wasn't hard. Not for Deathworlders. The resistance was light. Almost too light. Inside, they found the heart of everything. A core server bigger than a stadium, humming with power, storing every mind, every copied soul, every lie Earth ever tried to keep breathing. And in the center, a body grave single quotes or R. Rather, grave 0. The original scan. Still alive, still connected, still feeding the system. Shade gasped. They never shut it down. Grave walked forward, staring at the pale body locked in stasis. Tubes in its spine, eyes open, not blinking. He's not me anymore, Grave said quietly. He's the seed they used to grow all of this. What do we do? Hound asked. Grave didn't hesitate. He drew his blade and stabbed it through his other self's heart. The machine screamed. The entire server began to collapse. The mind fragments, disconnected from their source, shrieked through static. The core burned from the inside out. The team ran. Behind them, the last black site crumbled, and with a *** Project Grave, Project Phoenix, Project Silence, Minlock, Mirrorfall, the entire damned architect, network, ***, all of it went dark. Back aboard Vulture 1. They watched the Earth retreat behind them. No medals, no recognition, just silence. Exactly how Earth wanted it, because the galaxy would never know how close. It came because heroes like them. They were always buried, always erased, but Grave didn't care. He stood at the bridge, staring at the stars ahead. No more copies, no more ghosts. We erased their lies. Hound leaned against the wall. So what now? Valia wiped her eyes. What's left? Wraith looked at Grave, and Grave spoke the final words of the mission. Now we find the ones still hiding, the ones Earth didn't make, but left behind, because monsters like us weren't the only ones watching.